both of them I think should be pretty quick projects that you can do, whether you're trying to decorate for your home or if you want to make some items for a craft show that's coming up, or um, put on your Etsy shop. And the first one's going to be we're going to it's not a horizontal arrangement or a long and low design, so to speak, but it is something that you should be able to put on your dining table if you'd like to. It could also go on a mantle. It's going to be a little bit longer. This this container is about 12 inches by 4. And so you can make it either, you could also make it tall if you wanted to, but I'm going to plan to keep it a little bit on the lower side. Again, I was thinking that it's something you could sit in the center of a dining table if you wanted to, or a console table, or an office desk, wherever you feel like you can put it. You could even put this, well, I probably wouldn't, but you could probably put it on the back of the bathroom behind the toilet there. But I don't know, it might branch out a little bit too wide. Now, this is looks like it's probably about 4 inches tall also. It's about 4 inches tall, so I had to double up my foam, and I went ahead and I cut it. You guys have seen me cut foam hundreds of times, and I just put it just small enough where I've got a little bit of space on all sides. And I took 2 pieces about the same size, and I put some floral picks, which were dipped in glue. I hammered those in with my wire cutters. You don't want to push those in because those picks can break, and you can run it right up your hand. So, but anyway, and I also had put a little bit of glue in between the two also. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue here on the bottom. And we don't need a whole heck of a lot of it, but just, kind of take either your glue pot or your glue gun. The glue gun, the problem is that the glue is so hot that it can actually kind of shrink back the foam. The glue pot doesn't do that, but just put it down in there. This is a wooden container, so I don't have to worry about it. If it was a metal container, I'd have to also put some of my liquid glue on, because the liquid glue will hold on to metal, but it takes a long time for it to dry, whereas the wooden, this hot glue does fine. So I'm just going to hold it just for a minute here. Hey, Connie, how are you? Oh, that's okay, Connie. That's all right. It'll be here. Hey, Phyllis. Hey, Cindy. And there's Nancy. How are all you guys today? All right. And I usually test it when it's ready. I just pick it up like this. If it's not, I put my hand back down there. And again, notice that I did leave a little bit of space around. And I generally don't like to have a whole lot of the foam showing above. If you wanted to, you could shave a little bit of this off. The reason being, the taller your foam is going to be above your container, the more supplies is going to require. Now, if you're in the spring centerpiece workshop, we did do a similar container arrangement, and I advise you to bring the foam up a little bit taller because you can't. It's harder to angle the stem so that you're going to cover your foam. But either way, just remember those two possibilities as far as the height of your foam as it relates to your container. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of foam on here, or a little bit of moss on here now. If I'm smart, I'll do this. I always forget to do this. I always make a big mess. Excuse me. Still struggling getting over this, but I'm getting there. I know my voice still sounds a little bit inconsistent at times, but I'm going back right now. I'm editing those workshop videos, and my goodness, my voice. I can't believe you guys held out there. Feel like I sound like Groucho Marx. Who's over there on YouTube? Fess up. I always like to know who else here. I'm not getting as much of this on my table, but I'm getting it all over myself doing it this way. So has anybody been working on arrangements? Tis the season, I think. All right, let me get this out of here now. Like I said, I don't think I've saved much by doing that, but now I've got it all. I like to step it all around the edge of the container, or the edge of the foam. And it doesn't have to be perfectly neat or tidy. I'm going to put just a very scant amount on the top. Kind of like that. And if you wanted to, you could take a floral pin and pin that down if it's, if it's not wanting to stay where you want it or anything like that. You can take a floral pin, but really it's not necessary. Your florals and your stems are going to hold the moss for the most part. So. Oh, Carol's done 3 bunny arrangements, sold 1. Good for you. Sharon's done a couple of small ones. Yeah, look at Nancy. You've been busy with those classes. Think you found your jam, didn't you? All right, so I'm going to, I'm always a proponent of finding sprays or swags, garlands, anything that you can find that has all your, not all, but a big part of your work done for you. And like I said, these pieces I'm making today, I'm hoping they're going to be kind of quick ones you can get quick wins with. And I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to just take it apart. You need skews, don't you? And I'm tearing it up too. This one I got from Regency. And it's a veranda lemon and hydrangea teardrop swag. The skew is MTF 23710. That's MTF 23710. And even if you can't find this, look how simple this would be to make your own picks. Just get an assortment of some lemons, a little bit of greenery. These are hydrangea leaves there. A hydrangea, it doesn't have to be blue. You could put a white or whatever color you want to put with it. And then a little bit of greenery. You got some eucalyptus here. Well, it looks like a seeded eucalyptus. There's the seed part of it. And then some more of the round eucalyptus. But just get you a little bit of greenery and you're good. But I'm going to go ahead and take all this apart. It's got some berries in there also. And it looks like we've got some of these pieces. I'm going to separate those out from the parts that have the florals with them. Uh-oh, and this part got a little bit of extra here. I'm just going to leave that on there. If it doesn't come off as one piece, and we can always add it individually. Here's some leaves in case I need some leaves. But as I've told you this a lot, I always look for pieces that are going to cut down my work. And if you're uncomfortable with putting florals and greens together, it's one and done for you. All right. Like I said, we got some extras here, and then parts with the florals. Now, what I'm going to want to look at right now is, I've got the lemons, and I've got the hydrangeas. And I'm going to space them out, or I'm going to separate them out. I've got 3 pieces, it looks like, without lemons on it, and 2 pieces that have them. Okay? So these are going to be my focal part, or my focal point. So I'm going to want these pretty much toward the center. I'm thinking I'm going to probably lose these leaves. They look a little bit large, but we could sneak them in if we need them to hide some of the floral foam. So I'm going to go ahead and trim those off right now. If I don't use them here, they're always good to use to clean up the back of a grapevine wreath. Or, well, not just grapevine. This one fell apart, but I use them on mesh wreaths also. This one actually came as 2 separate pieces. I'm just going to twist those together. Get everything there. There we go. And then I'm going to trim off this end down here to make it even. So hopefully it won't shred then when I try to stick it in the foam. All right, so let's see what our pattern's going to look like here. I'm going to drop you down. This one obviously is a little bit larger. And I could do a couple of things. I could either go up, if I want to make it taller, I could do this. But I'm wanting to keep it a little bit low because I'm wanting to put it on a table, a dining table. Let's get everything fluffed out. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. And as always, I'll look up every now and then and answer them. Or if you guys know the answer, go right ahead. I know some of you guys have been around long enough, you know how I think. All right, so I'm thinking I want to put that, something like that, maybe. Or do I want to? I'm just going to play around with it and kind of get my pattern in mind here. I do have some more lemons too that I brought. I've got some, just some Dollar Tree lemons that I brought just in case we want to add a few more, which we might. And I'm thinking about my diagonals. Even though this side's a little bit smaller, I can still fill out this greenery. Can you guys see that? Get everything out of the way so you can see. I'm still working on my, on my diagonals. Let's put this one up a little higher. I've got a larger lemon on this side. Over here. Got a larger lemon, and then my smaller ones are going to run diagonal off too, okay? And then same thing with my hydrangeas, even though one's a little bit larger than the other. We can come in and adjust that if we need to, but we're going to have it diagonal. I'm thinking maybe put a couple of more large ones up here, right in the center. Or another thing we could do too, we could bring that into one large hydrangea. Kind of like that. Where it looks like it's just one. Now this one lemon here, I had to fix that, so I might have to bring that out and rearrange that. It came off of the spray, so I had to rearrange it. But I kind of like the large hydrangea in the center. Okay, so now that I like that placement, I'm going to take a floral pen, which I forgot to get those out. Actually, you know what? Smart thing to do would be just bring this out, right? And I'm going to find a place where I've got a Y, and I'm going to straddle that with my floral pen. I'll show you what I mean here in a second. If I can get my fingers to work. There. What I mean is, you know, as these things kind of branch, I'm going to take my floral pen. I'm not going to stick it just right back here because that can easily be taken, you know, it could slide out. I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it up here where it's not going to be able to be pulled out. Okay. All right, so let's put this larger lemon over here. I want to smash these up in here, kind of close together so it appears to be one hydrangea. Let me fluff this a little better. And then again, we've got the large diagonal, or the large lemon working diagonal there, and then the smaller ones. And put us another floral pick in there, or floral pen. Fluff everything, make sure your greens are hanging, or their leaves are in the right direction. Wish I had some more of those small ones. I don't have any more of those. I just have large ones. Large lemons, but that's okay. Could come in here something like this. I don't know. We'll see. All right, does anybody have any questions? Oh, you guys keep freezing? You might want to go out and come back in. I've heard people say that Facebook's been having a lot of freezing issues. I don't have any on my end. I'm watching on Facebook and YouTube, but you could also go over to YouTube. The link is in your email. YouTube's usually pretty reliable. So that's probably what I'd recommend, but I've heard lots of people saying Facebook's been freezing for them on their lives. All right, let me get this mess over here. I pulled out. Okay, now, we still have some hydrangeas. I've got 4 more of them left. And what I'm wanting to do, I'm wanting to bring some to kind of hang over the edge of the container. And that actually will help bring the container, we call it breaking the line. That'll help bring the container into the arrangement. And looking where I'm at, it looks like our hydrangea is mostly going this way. So I'm going to bring a little bit of that color back over here to this corner. Get some of this stuff out of the way. And we'll put our floral pen in. And again, I'm straddling a Y. Now, if you had the opportunity to make a few of these sprays, or these swags, like I showed you, you could also make a coordinating wreath or a garland, swag, all the above. All right, Now let's see what this looks like. This is kind of a large one over here. I might take this off just so it's not unbalanced, because this is kind of a smaller one there on this corner. Let's go ahead and do that. I can always use it someplace else. And we'll spread out our greenery. Who else over on YouTube? All it shows me is numbers. I don't get to see who's there unless you comment. All right, I'm just going to trim this off so it's even. And again, I'm going to go on my diagonals. Come over here. Reload that blue. Sometimes you got to go in here and fluff those hydrangeas too. Fluff them and repair them sometimes. All right, get a floral pen. You have the hardest time with containers, Amy, and the best way to get over it is just do them. A lot of people are intimidated by them, but just do them. And not everything I turn out is perfect. I just keep experimenting. But, you know, find a few recipes that you like to practice with. Trying to put this little guy right back on here where I tore him off. But yeah, just practice. And practice the same ones over and over. And then as you get more comfortable, then you can start experimenting. And you were in the workshop. You'll be, you should have handouts where I show where to place your main florals and such. Hopefully take the guesswork out of it. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. Got all my blues falling off there. Okay, so now we could also put some on this corner if we wanted to, but I think I'm going to wait on that. I've got two more hydrangeas, and actually I kind of would like to have this one a little bit bigger. Let's do that. Because there's kind of a little divot there where I could stick this right down in there and make a little bit more of an impact. And my stem's really, really short. That's going to be too short to put down in there. So I'm going to put a steel pick on. I don't need a whole lot of length to it, so a steel pick should be long enough. I do need to double up my stem, though, because my stem's going to be so skinny. If I don't, it'll slide right out of the pick. So now I've got just a little bit more length. That's all I needed. If I needed more length, I'd have to use a wooden floral pick. Get everything fluffed again. These hydrangeas are not the best. All right, and my hand's not going to fit down there where I need to insert this, so I'm going to use my needle nose pliers. I'm going to get a little bit of glue. I don't want this sunk down in there. I want it just about at the level of these others. There, so it looks like those lemons are just kind of coming out of the, hydrangea. All right, so we've got this corner filled. We've got this corner needing some greenery. I still have this. I don't want those big hydrangea leaves, though. Let's trim those off. I've got some of this greenery. I'm going to hold off using that other hydrangea, though, because I might maybe I'll leave that and not use it at all. I don't know yet. But let's go ahead and put some of these berries in here. And again, you can make your own pick if you can't find what I've got. Just find similar pieces and make your own. All right, I'm going to need to trim down this stem. It's pretty long. I'm just going to tuck that right underneath of there. Get me a floral pen. The reason I'm using pens on all of this is just the angle that I'm needing to insert these with. It's going to be hard to get the right angle if I just inserted it into the foam, the stem directly. All right, get everything fluffed back out. All right, so I put those berries over here. So now what I'm going to need to do is going to go on the opposite corner to keep the diagonal going. It's coming over here. You guys see that? So I've got another one and lots of big leaves. Let me trim this off. Okay, so that's going to leave me with the same thing I put just now here. Let's get everything fluffed. Okay, and I'm going to trim off my stem again. Again, I'm going to come right off of that corner there. I'll make sure that my berries are about where I want them, pretty much mirroring what I've got over there. I'll stand back a little bit here and okay, this one's got a lot more greenery, so we'll have to account for that. All right, so let's go ahead and pin that in. Sarah, you go back over to YouTube. Good. Yeah, usually I don't have any trouble over on YouTube. Been pretty reliable on all accounts. Okay, so we need to, we've got all this over here on this side. Now we need to even it out a little bit here. And I do have this greenery left. I don't need the berries and I don't want these big leaves. So let's trim those off. And then it almost looks like I could take two different sections of this, which I think will work better. So I'm just dividing that off. Let's even up those edges there. And let me see what I've got here now. Okay, so I'm just going to lift this up and kind of go right in the middle. Again, I'm going to use another floral pen. fluff everything out. I still have this little piece left over here, and I really don't have too many of these white, I think it's supposed to be eucalyptus seeds. I don't have too many of those in the center here, so I'm going to maybe use those in there. Get this guy over where I want him. Now, I'm going to bring this little bunch of berries right here in the center. And I think we can just leave the other part right there attached, and we can kind of curve this guy through here. So I'm going to kind of clean this up just a little bit. It's kind of a mess here. And I may be able to just stick that in the foam. And this one was quite a bit longer. I want more of an impact, so I'm going to just take that, put it in there pretty close. Okay, so it looks like just one bunch instead. Like I said, I'm going to try to stick this in the foam if the stem is sturdy enough. And it is. Good deal. So I just took this other long piece. We'll just drop that over the edge there. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Okay. All right, now let's start filling in with some of our greenery and decide, do we want another lemon? I almost feel like I do. I think so. What do you guys think? Hi, Pamela. It does save a lot of time using those hydrangeas for a base, Carol. It sure does. Hi, Terry. No freezing on YouTube. Good. All right. All right, so I think I want to bring, like I said, I want to bring a couple more of these lemons in, just to kind of cradle right there. So to insert those, I feel like these might be styrofoam. I don't know, but I'm going to check. So I've got my awl here. Let me see how I want to put it in here. So let me see. Oh yeah, these are just styrofoam. There's just kind of a firm styrofoam. They feel like there's something in the middle, though. So when I hit the middle, it's like something hard. So I just inserted just made a hole with my awl in there. Now I'm going to get a pick, just a wooden floral pick, get a little bit of glue on here. I'm going to shorten it too, probably a little bit. Let's see. Shorten it just a hair, just enough to cut that edge off, really, the part with the wire, because we don't need that. And that's a part I'm going to put up in here. Let's get a little bit of glue. Insert that. And I put it at an angle because that's how I want my lemon on an angle. Okay, let me get a little bit of glue on my pick. I'm just going to bring that out at an angle, just like that. So we're about 2 inches, no, probably about 1.5 inches from the edge of the container here. So I'm going to want to kind of do about the same thing over here. And let me find the good side of the lemon. Some of these are kind of beat up. I've had them for years. Yeah, there's definitely something metal or like rocks or something in the center of that. All right, we'll do the same thing. Cut off the end here. I'll do my pit there. And dipping it in the glue, and then we'll stick that right back in that hole. Okay. All right, then. All right, so I'm kind of marking where I want to put my pick after I get the glue on. Okay, I like that. All right, so that's what it looks like from the top. Still got work to do. Okay. All right, now let me look at these leaves. There's so many of them. Yeah, I think they're too large. I mean, I think you could use them, but we've got some better stuff to do. We can save these for another project, so I'm going to not use them. We do still have some berries left. We've got 2 berries, and we've got another hydrangea. I don't really see, unless we put another piece of hydrangea right there. Let me look here. Which I suppose we could do that. I think I will. Well, we got the berries too, though. I still think I'm going to use them. I'm going to double it up like I did before. Put a pick on it. Okay, get a little length. It's just going to make our hydrangea look a little bit more full. I'm going to drop those guys down there. Okay, so that's what we got so far. I've got 2 more things of berries. Let's decide where we want those. I think we could put them right there on the top. Give a good contrast. This one's got a pretty sturdy stem. Let me see about the other one. That one, not so much. But I want to put that right there. Then we'll come out the other way on the other one. Oops. So again, I'm going to have to use my pliers. Get a little bit of glue. Oh, I thought it was pretty sturdy, but it's not going in. No. Okay. So let's put a pick on both of those. All right, let's try this again. Yeah, that stem just curled up in a ball when I tried to put it in the foam. Okay, put that right there. Then I'm going to come opposite right there with the other one. Probably a little bit lower though. Kind of, I've got more space over here, so I'm going to bring this one's kind of coming up toward the top. I'm just getting a piece of glue here. It's coming up more toward the top. This one I'm going to bring down a little bit more low, just so it's not so matchy-match. That's what it looks like now. Those berries just add a little bit of contrast. All right, now let's add just a little bit of greenery, start filling in around the sides there. I've still got these left. Let me look and see what we got over here. I think we need more over on this side, so I'm going to put this over here. And these are all separate, so I'm just going to take them and twist them. And then trim them off evenly. And I'm going to stick them right underneath of this lemon right here. Right underneath there. Actually, these are not staying, so I'm going to put a pick on these. On that eucalyptus, still didn't want to stay with it. We'll find a home for him, though. Yeah, this little guy still fell off, so I'm going to, actually, he's got a good wire. I'm sure that he can go in there just by himself. Okay, so I was able to fill in a little bit more over here. I still have more greenery that we can add. We've got these. So we've done all this just off of that spray, or that swag. Now let's add just a little bit of this greenery, and I picked it because it's, a lot of the similar pieces. Or if you wanted to use some eucalyptus, you could use that. It has kind of the same the same green tone, a lot of the same textures. Or you could use a fern. Actually, I might like the fern. Let's use that up. I'm going to use that. I changed my mind. And this is, I got from Greenery Market. And the SKU is 35977 43202. That's 35977 43202. And they've got different shades of this. They've got some that's more of a green. This has more of the lighter green, but it also has a little bit of a bluish green toward the top of it. It's kind of a mixed bush. But I like these. They've got a whole lot of movement to them. They are pushers, which helps. And I'm just going to cut this down in several little pieces so we can spread it throughout. It's not very often that I use this bush and I use the whole entire piece. I usually section it out. When I do that, I need to come in here and I need to turn this end under so the other piece doesn't fall off. It's like this one had two pieces. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this whole bush here. And you get a lot of value out of this. It's you get a lot of pieces to it. That's one thing I like. More bang for your buck. All right, I'm going to see if there's any questions. Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys. All right, so let's go ahead and we're just going to kind of fill in the sides and kind of distribute this fern. I want one of my bigger pieces, which would be this one over here in this larger hole. And this hydrangea is kind of a transition point. So I'm making everything, it'd be just like if we had a bow on our wreath. Everything from, this side goes this way. Everything on this side goes this way. There goes another one of my petals. My hydrangea's just falling apart. Well, there. Trying to kind of mingle that fern in there. So let's bring another piece forward here. I've got this one little piece right here left over. I think I'm going to put that right in there. See if I can get it kind of opened up a little bit. I don't know if that's going to... Yeah, I guess it will. I didn't think I had enough stem to get in there, but... Yeah, of course it won't whenever I want it to. Isn't that the way it happens? so that's what that side looks like so far. I'm going to bring just a little bit more in on the other side over here. It doesn't have to be going down. We could also bring it up like this. Okay. I feel like I want to bring just a little bit of this right here. This is pretty heavy on the ends here. I'm going to bring that in the center here. Just a little bit of it. Don't be afraid to do that, to just move things around. I feel like I need a little bit lower here in the center, right in here. So I just put that right down there. Whoops, I dropped it. Just brought that right there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to find a piece I can. Looks like I got a good culprit right here. Just one that looks like you're not going to miss it. So I just brought a little piece there. I just want to go a little bit lower on this side. Okay, so I just put that right there. Okay. All right, now I feel like you could stop right here if you wanted to. You know, it's nice and low. This is something that somebody can converse, you know, over the table with. It's not going to interfere with your guests communicating with each other. Another thing that I brought to the table in case you wanted to do, you could always add a little bit more yellow. These little daisies. You've seen me use these before. These are my favorite daisies. And or you could bring a little bit more blue with this pentablossom branch. Kind of like that. Either one of them I think is going to take it up a notch. But like I said, if you wanted to, you could stop right here. I think I like the blue. Look here. Actually, I've got a daisy just cut off here. You could do either. You guys have a preference? You could do either, or you could do both. What do you guys think? Anybody have any comments, questions? I think I want to add just a little bit of yellow myself. Look here. Like yellow and we like blue. I was thinking about both. Let me see. Let's cut some of these off and see. But like I say, you don't have to do this part. I think this, extending the color a little bit, I think it's going to help it a lot. Just trying to kind of spread those out there. Okay. And this stem, I'm hoping, is going to be stiff enough. Actually, let me shorten it just a bit. Okay, let's come on the other end down here. Trying to get these bend the right way. It's wired to this point, but these guys down here are not wired. So I'm trying to get them to hang the way I want them to. Okay, I like that. Now let's add just a few through the body here, so they're just not there on the ends. Not a lot of them. Actually, I've got this Lone Ranger here. Let me see if I can just stick him somewhere. And it's not wired, so I'm going to have to pick it. I'm thinking put him just right in here. So then we'll come over on this side. We've put one here, so we're going to bring one over here. I'm trimming off the greenery because we've already got plenty of greenery there. And we'll put two over here since, we've got the one over here. I don't want it, again, to look matchy-match. Okay. And I've got this one a little bit high. I'm going to come in a little bit low with one down here. Same thing over on the other side. Oh, I didn't tell you the SKU on these guys. These are from Select Artificials. And the SKU is 5107-Y. It's a wild daisy spray, yellow. Again, it's Select Artificials, 5107-Y. And I've told you before, I get some of these every year. I love them. Let's see. I'm just looking to see how many I've got where. So I've got one. Okay, so I've got one over here, so I'm going to come in with two on this side. And again, it's going to be low because I've got the high one here, so I'm going to go down low. And I'm going to have to pick or put a pin on that one. I've got the exact spacing I want, and I don't want to have to move it. There we go. Okay, so I put that there. So now we're going to go down low over here, probably with just a single. Well, no, I've got just a single here, so I'll put a double over here. Or a triple. I'll do a triple. That's how it's going to come. So we ended up with two of these sprays. And I'm going to put this one down pretty low. Trying to run out places to hold. Okay, so like I said, I have high here, so I'm going to bring it down low. Okay, and as I said, if you wanted to, you could also bring a little height in here with the yellow or with the blue. Kind of like that, really. Gives a little bit of movement to it. Not so keen on the greenery. Let me see. Just taking that greenery off of that one piece there where it's going to interfere with inserting it. Kind of like that. These little blackberries keep on falling off and rolling, and every time it happens, I jump. I think it's like another critter. And I'll tell you the skew here on this in a minute. All right, so let's bring another one over this way. And this is a Penta Blossom Bush. I buy these every year too. It is also from Select Artificials. The SKU is 4154-B. That's 4154-B from Select Artificials, and it's a Penta Blossom and Seed blue. I said I get them every year. They just add a whole lot of movement to your piece. Let's see. And you get a bunch of use out of this, a bunch of branches. All right, let me see if I'll pull this off again down here. Trying to find a good piece I've got where I can that is wired. There we go. I'm just putting it out off of each end here. Okay. All right, and like I said, you don't have to put the blue in there, but I think we're done. Could probably use a little bit more yellow right here. I've got one, well, actually I've got two more pieces. Let's put one more piece there. I can see it when I look in the camera. And this is going to go low. Yeah. Well, now I see that on the opposite corner too. Good grief. How did I miss that? I always have people ask me, how do you know when to stop? And you just know. I wasn't ready yet. Okay, there we go. Yeah, both of those corners needed a little bit more color. That's what it looks like from the top. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Okay, so basically you just work off a, we're always trying to keep our balance. You know, if you put something over on this side, you usually will need to duplicate it in some way. Doesn't have to be exact, but you're going to need to do something on the opposite side. You know, we've got more yellow on this corner because we've got two lemons versus just one over here, so I added a little extra yellow with the daisies. So. All right, does anybody have any questions? Thank you, Nancy. And like I said, it'd be real easy to make this a set, you know, with a swag, a wreath. You can make a, you know, a square container arrangement where they could put, you know, maybe this on their table, have another arrangement sitting on their counter or whatever. So, does anybody have any questions? Oh, thank you, Vince. Carol's asking, can I recommend a nice filler flower, one with a full round head of little flowers or seeds? Actually, Hobby Lobby has several of them. Let me see if I remember where. Well, here's one. I think I pulled the other one. I pulled the other one for a project. But this is a nice one from Hobby Lobby. I don't have a tag on it, but they've got this, and then they've got one that has like little, it looks like baby's breast, and they have it in several colors. But this is a nice, this gives you a lot of coverage, you know, with the greenery and then a little pop of color. That'd be where I'd start, Carol. Okay, Vince had a question. Let's see. Vince is wanting to know, could you also use white daisies since you have the small white berries from the eucalyptus, or would that be too much of contrast? I think you could. Actually, I've got them. Let's look and see what it looks like. Yeah, I think so. I think that'd look cute. But yes, you could. Now, the thing you need to think about is that, is the size. You don't want them to overwhelm. I mean, they need to be small, um, small little daisies like these. That'd probably be as large as I would use. You use both of those Hobby Lobby fillers. Yeah, it's a good value. All right, do you guys want to do another one? Or are you done? Want to do another arrangement? It's a small one. Look at all these little guys that fell off. I'm not going to put them back on. You could if you wanted to, or if you needed to. You guys want to do one more? Hey, Connie. Yeah, we're still here. Okay, everybody's saying yes, and you don't have to stay if you don't want to. You can always come back with a replay.